bike rider, and what do you think are the biggest barriers to increasing bike ridership and safety in D5? How do you propose addressing those barriers? So we'll go to Christine.
I'm a long supporter of transit first policies in the city. For 7.5 years on the Planning Commission, I worked hard with the Bicycle Coalition to ensure the passage of the bicycle plan. As many of you know, there was a lawsuit, there was an injunction, there were no improvements on bike safety that could be made for like 2 years. That being said, I support the Fallow Bike Way. It's a very controversial project in District 5, but I believe that we need to support it. It provides safe passage from the west side to this side of the city. Hopefully it will encourage more families who feel safe to have the protected bikeways. I think protected bikeways are critical. I believe that we do not live in a bike-friendly city. I think we need to do a lot more. Masonic, there's a really nice plan as far as street improvements is concerned. I think that's a great plan. I won't go into it, but it's something I fully support. I've worked with advocates on that. So again, I believe that there's a lot more we can do for bikes. I was also a member of the Transit Riders Union, one of the first board members of that organization. I ride a bike. I don't know how to drive. I walk. I take Muni. I'm a total transit first person. So being a bike rider, I know that there's a lot more we have to do to ensure a safe city for bicyclists.
I agree with all the things Christina just said, including safe bikeways. I've seen the Bike Coalition's vision for bikeways across the city, and it's amazing. I think safe bike lanes is the way to go. It's also a public health issue. I'm in public health. I just did a press event today on African American children have the highest rates of diabetes and obesity. And children in general have high rates of obesity and diabetes. That's because they're not active. And bikes, having people out on the street riding bikes is good for preventing crime, it's good for business, it's good for health and public health. It's good on a lot of levels. And so I support every way that we can make San Francisco more bike friendly. We should be able to attain the goal of 20% of trips on bikes by 2020, or we should really try to attain that goal. One other thing is I ride a bike because it's my Burning Man beater bike because I lost my nice Cannondale Lefty at Beta Breakers. As a lot of people in this city have lost bikes, we're the second worst city in the country for bike theft. We need to get serious about busting bike crimes. Other cities, Portland for example, bike shop owners can call in serial numbers to the police and figure out, work with the police to find their bike, and it works well. And we don't do that here in San Francisco. There's a lot of things we can be doing better to solve bike crimes.
We have a follow-up question from a board member.
I would just like for people to speak to the difficulty that's being experienced at the Wiggle, which is an official bike route that a lot of the residents are NIMBYing about and complaining about poor behavior and bike safety, especially when considering how fast some bikes are going and not stopping, and pedestrians and cars and the crashing of people in that area.
Well, first, I can't say nothing about City College, being the president of the board. So I'm going to say one thing. I've been fighting to save City College for 6 years. When I first got on there, I was battling a corrupt administration, people who eventually pleaded guilty to felonies. They were part of the problem. They were part of the problem, and there are still people there who are part of the problem. There are administrators there who we're trying to get rid of, who I am battling on a weekly basis. There are structural problems that are old. There's a middle management structure that is part of the problem. I want to reduce the number of department heads by half. I think we could save $6 million in that middle management structure. So there are things that we're doing that I want to do. I called in a financial expert, this group called FICMAT. We're going to get a report next week, and I'm going to aggressively reform that. On the bike stuff, I've been a bike advocate with the Sierra Club. I was part of the Fix Masonic movement that got the city to redesign Masonic Avenue. I got the City College campus there to collect hundreds of signatures that eventually went to the city. I went to the community meetings on the Oak and Fell bike proposals. There's a proposal to make Oak and Fell more bike friendly and safe. They are very unsafe right now. This is the lower part of Oak and Fell. So I would continue to work on those things. These things are core to what I believe in.
Thea, Selby again. I first want to say that the gentleman who brought us the moratorium on bike lanes also, I'm proud to say, gave me the runner-up Feminist Crybaby Award last year. And I asked him why I didn't get first place. I was not happy about that. I have two children. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. I totally support Oak and Fell. I also support Hayes and Page. I do believe Hayes and Page might be safer for people with kids. Oak and Fell are fabulous commuter lanes. They're fabulous commuter lanes. I would like to slow down the cars. For every 10, if you go from 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour, when you're on a car, the death rate is 7 times less. Okay, if you hit a bicycle and you go 10 miles less, the death rate is 7 times less. So what does that mean? We need the cars to slow down. We do not have enough buses. I've talked about this in the past. We're getting 45 new buses shortly, but we're going to have to be taking more bikes. We're going to have to walking. I don't believe that until we shrink the shores of San Francisco through global warming, I believe we're going to have more people here, not less people. So if we're going to have more people, we're going to have to figure out how to get along, and that includes on the Wiggle. I am one of these people who's trying to change some of the behavior along the Wiggle with these things called walk stops, which calm traffic through on the crosswalks. There'll be art on the crosswalks, and the hope there is that not just pedestrians, but cars and bicycles, everybody will slow down and take care.